Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Man, that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Yo, big shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. A-side official, no negotiations needed, period. You already know Carlos is the first in the building. I don't have my usual setup, y'all. But we definitely gonna keep marching. You know what I'm saying? With or without cadence. We're gonna talk about the topic at hand. We're gonna talk about Terrence Crawford interview with Ariel Hawani on MMA Hour. And also, excuse me, we're going to talk about the back end of what I put on there on the detail of Jake Paul. But even then, I want to start this off. Something I didn't put on my details. And salute to everyone that's on their way to the building. You already know. You know, continue to support. Shout out to Big Blunts and Boxing in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Shout out to Mike on deck, man. So for those of you that's on deck, man, just bear with me because I'm not where I usually be at. And I got a motherfucking migraine. But peep this out. We're gonna get back to the MMA hour, but let me start by talking about the Ryan Garcia and Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis and everybody else. Okay. Myself, along with everyone in the chat, has watched how certain boxers tend to go at each other all the time, constant back and forth bickering, arguing, you know what I'm saying? You know, verbal sparring over social media. But Ryan Garcia, like I told you, you know, the results wasn't going to be what people think. And, you know, people have to understand that Ryan Garcia is in a peculiar spot. He's a pretty boy who started off doing goofy videos. And when you put yourself out there like that, when people just know you as being young and goofy, it's hard to change other people's minds. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for them to see through the wrong in certain people. I'm seriously. That's why you have, you know, like these vlogs talking about court cases on how you got, you know, raw, uncut killers, but yet you got a juror up there. They just can't see through whatever his or her, you know, strong point is. They can't see. No, I just don't think they can do that. I don't think they did that like that. I don't. You know what I'm saying? They can't get past it. But anyway, I listened and watched how, you know, Shakur Stevens has made waves out here. You know, the Jay Prince had to get involved. Cam and Mace. You know, he wanted everybody who was important to him to say something about, to respond to, who he deemed that was important at a higher level. You know what I'm saying? Some average, you know, so consider average people he went at. But Ron said some very disrespectful, tasteless, you know what I'm saying, racially denigrating comments online, right? For the whole world to see. We heard it, right? I didn't get all hyped up about it because You know, all black people think you're supposed to, lose your sanity when, somebody say that word. They group themselves, and I just look at it from the South, right? They group themselves beneath that word, but yet you can't bring your people together and have a decent conversation to sort things out. But yet you expect us to come together all because Ryan Garcia used the word inner. He said the N word with the R on the end, right? As a black person, I'm always going to have a different lens from many angles on that word because I'm looking at my people and it's other situations that I consider less weighted than what he said. And we can't even talk and come to a conclusion. I also did a video on the guy who called me the N word with an R. He sure did. So, there's some people at the time out, I was whining about it. I wasn't whining about anything. It's a fact. I just showed it because it wasn't no outcry when that happened. But with Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn, they was up there joking and playing around. With Keyshawn Davis, I'm saying make sure you hold that down with your own people. Hold that same forgiveness with your own people. Don't be nice to Ryan Garcia to say you're willing to be nice to a person that you need to step in the ring with for a big money fight. I mean, you're basically saying I'm sacrificing. I don't care. I'm willing to sacrifice or sell myself short just because I want to play nice. When I made that comment about Clarissa Shields being nice to Ryan Garcia, that's another black fighter that somebody told me, oh, she's just being nice to him because she don't want his fan base to come for her. And I've never heard Clarissa talk like that to another black person so nicely, so cordial, so respectfully. Ryan, 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 Ryan. You know what I'm saying? It was so polite and soft-hearted. You know what I'm saying? She made sure there was the falsetto in there, all that. But then I'm thinking to myself, if it was have been me, if it would have been another black fighter disrespecting her and knowing that she's already engaged to a black man, it would have been a lot more accusations out there, right? But I was disappointed that Shakur, that you would go in as hard as you did on other black people, but you up there joking around with Ryan Garcia when he was sitting up here disrespecting black people that was deemed, that was they are anchored, that was whipped, that was freaking degraded by that word. But yet, just because you're in a professional setting, all of a sudden it's back to professional. You need Ryan Garcia for a big fight and you want to play nice. No, why don't you just keep the same attitude? The same attitude you kept with Tank. You know what I'm saying? The same attitude you kept with Devin. Keep the same attitude with freaking Ryan Garcia, bro. Y'all sitting up there, he and a ha-ha with a dude that's disrespectful. Hey, man, you know, I forgive you, man. Just stop that shit, man. Just do this and that. That's Keyshawn. And then Keyshawn turned around, supposedly threw a punch at T.O.'s dad or something for using the N-word with or whatever. I mean, some ain't right. I want that pass though. I want that pass. How do I get that pass? Everybody else wanna be up in arms about, Ron Garcia, testing positive for Austrian. I told you, wasn't nobody gonna care. That's pretty much what I was saying. It's not gonna be what you think. Not everybody gonna care about Ron Garcia testing positive for Austrian. But when he came out with the racist shit, tirade, people want to act like all of a sudden, oh man, I ain't fucking with Ron no more. Yeah, you are. Especially the ones who need him. Y'all up there joking and just having a good old time with Ryan Garcia, and you're doing exactly what I said that would happen. You all are condoning him. You all are condoning him without him even trying to go months and months of being ostracized. Y'all condone that. Y'all sit up here and was playing nice with him, bro. Man, these black fathers be quick to goddamn try to throw punches and be mad at their own another black man for doing some stuff like that, disrespecting them or their family. But yet somebody like Ryan, who's getting money, you feel that he has the key, and you may have to approach and attend that gate one day, and you want to make sure that he allows you entry based off having a good rapport. You know what I'm saying? Being on his good side. For real, for real. That's what they say, right? That's, from where I'm from, they say that's selling out. When you willing to just stand on nothing. They say stand on something to fall for anything. I mean, when you have somebody that disrespect black people in general, that's what he was trying to do when he's talking about Muslims. Then turn back around and you got two fighters who have known to have short fuses. Y'all up here joking around with Ryan and having that to my, oh man, I forgive you for that. Why are we so quick to forgive other people other than our own race? Can you ask me that, Keyshawn? Shakir? Why y'all so quick to forgive? Why black people so quick to forgive others, but yet they'll tear their people down all the way down to the freaking base? We'll tear each other all the way down to the base. They don't care nothing about their family. They don't care nothing about what they did before they met you. You don't care nothing about the dead space of you not knowing that personal information. You don't know about their personal life or who they might have met along the way, what tragedies they might have experienced. None of that. We just try to tear each other, shred them down all the way down to the core. I ain't never seen nobody in this day and era go on a racist tirade like freaking Ryan Garcia and put it off on everybody else. Oh man, my boy was doing this, and I was drinking it. They up here allowing Ryan Garcia to glorify drinking and smoking, but yet if it was a black person that was a popularity of freaking above average status quo, they will sit up here and ridicule the shit out and call him a crackhead, call him a dope fiend, call him all that. But yet Ryan tell y'all that I was smoking and drinking. Oh man, that's cool, man. He young and everything, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just let it go, man. Hey, just stop doing that shit, man. Nah, man, fuck that. And y'all dudes be out here faking and I don't know what, man. Y'all get mad because somebody criticized you one time, but yet somebody can go and criticize and be racist about stuff. And y'all doing it's not even 72 hours, and y'all done gave them a pass. Y'all on live joking around with them, letting everybody see and all that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this shit don't make no sense at all. It makes no sense at all, bro. Moving on, man. Moving on. Jake Paul had his fight the other night with um Platinum Perry. And the gloves are different depending on how long you've been boxing. Platinum Perry was in the UFC at one point in time. He bought you the chaos and mayhem, but he'll take a lot of damage. He won some fights, lost some fights. Won the bare knuckle fight. Like I said, gave him the chaos they was looking for. I like Platinum Perry. You know what I'm saying? Platinum is also known to be on record. It's saying that the N with the A, nigga, right? And people's like, oh man, you can't say that you're white. He said, the hell I can't. I did my genealogy, and I got a certain percentage of black in me. So since I got some black in me, I'm gonna say the word, period. And nobody even correct him on it at all anymore. He broke that shit down quick. Anyway, he went in there against Jake Paul. And this is gonna caveat to the Terrence Crawford freaking interview, which I'm not going to break down into another day. But he was on MMA Hour with Ariel Hawani. Okay. And PM, what's good? Arnold Brown on deck. What's good? What's good? So, Terrence Crawford was on MMA Hour with Ariel Hawani. Of course, he has a big fight coming up August 3rd. And you see a lot more of these MMA podcasters getting access to boxers. It didn't used to be that way. It was usually mostly mixed martial arts, Muay Thai, stuff like that. Now, you know, they're breaching out more to boxers, which is good. It's just it is what it is. Anyway, Jake Paul goes in there and beat Platinum Perry, and Ari Hawani asked Terrence Crawford, was his take pretty much on Jake Paul, and Terrence Crawford is sponsored by Prime, so in my opinion, he wasn't going to be extreme with criticism. But one thing he did say is that he believed Jake Paul is getting better. He's actually taking it serious. And, he got a pretty solid right hand. That's what he did say. He said that he's working out as a fighter, a boxer, and stuff like that. But my thing is, I understand what Jake Paul is trying to do. Crawford also said that he's building his record just like any other boxer. I get it. I mean, he's right. There's boxers out there that build their records up, padded with below average freaking fighters or fighters that's past their prime, okay, past their competitive edge. I get it. It happens all the time. But for Jake Paul, we just seeing a lot of choreography that happen on stage when the curtains are drawn open. Some of these fighters are supposed to be boxers. They're not really boxing. They just playing. They just sitting there waiting for the right moment to get knocked out or to shake on the ground and make it and sell it to the crowd. That's the part I don't like. I don't like that at all. It's fake, super fake. And when the finishing, punch is delivered, you say to yourself, man, there's no need to do a double take because that was fake. I don't need to see it twice because I'm right. For real, I don't need to see it twice because I'm right. But one thing about Jake Paul is they're up here mentioning potentially him getting he's saying that he may potentially get a title shot. What needs to be said is that when is Jake Paul ever going to have a fight where there's drug testing? Because, everybody knows that he's putting on all this weight for his last fight for Mike Tyson. And he bulked up. Nobody's going to convince me that he's clean. How much water weight he was holding and everything. So, yeah, he's doing everything as a boxer, so to speak, right? He's doing everything as a boxer. But I think Jake Paul is getting a first-class VIP flight because he has money. Him and his brother did the Vines creation back then when there was Vines. His parents had money, from my understanding. They're contributing to the sports entertainment. He has his promotion. So pretty much what you see from Jake Paul is that he's a Tesla, so to speak. They're allowing this man to basically navigate himself to the front of the line, under his rules. Because when has he ever been drug tested? People always say, oh man, he's this, he's that, he's on juice and all that. If you have other fighters like Ryan Garcia that's testing positive for Ostarine and people are going crazy, but yet when Jake Paul's in the ring, nobody's mentioned a drug test and nobody's up here trying to ask questions, is he clean or not? Because quote unquote, air quotes, they don't want to upset. You know what I'm saying? He's bringing money to the sport. He has MVP promotion. So we know what he's doing, but he's making us money. So we don't care how he's doing it. We just know he's bringing us money. But obviously, the dude seems to be allegedly taking peds. The bulk that he's putting on and everything, man. I'm not the only one who's saying that. I'm not the only one who's saying it, bro. So when is he gonna have a fight when he's drug tested? Because I'm calling BS on this. All this Victor Conte talk, and people want to act like they freaking performance enhancing drug experts, and then they go around and see Jake Paul fight, and no one's really caring because it's no big name. But still, when you look at his box rec, his box rec continue. His box rec continue to grow, and no one's really questioning if he's positive, if he's dirty. But yet, you have Garcia that tests positive, and everybody want to go get Victor Conte, and Victor Conte's chiming in. Victor Conte, if you're listening, do you think Jake Paul is clean? He's basically competing in the same sport that you have contribution in, and you are a part of an organization to lend your professional knowledge, what I'm saying, due to unfortunate circumstances that you was a part of one of the biggest cheating scandals in professional sports. So therefore, I would like to ask you this question. Do you believe that Jake Paul is clean? I would like to hear from you, being that you have seen so many athletes and you have witnessed, you have communicated, what I'm saying, so many athletes. Do you believe that Jake Paul is freaking clean? If Victor Conte don't have anything to say about whether he believes Jake Paul is clean or not, then don't get on here talking about Osterine and just because Ryan says some unsavory things about you, you want to act like you know everything there is about cheating, and you know they need to test this and test that. You need to be asking that question too. If there's a fighter out here, if you haven't already did it, if it's a fighter out here that's obviously looking a certain way. All right. Moving on to the next. Hey, shout out to Christopher White in the building. I see you. What's good? Salute to you. One love to you, brother. And if you're in the building, hit the like button for me. Let's talk about Crawford for a second. Crawford said out there they shot for 15 hours. And a lot of cuts that they had wasn't used in the final release, which is normal. You know what I'm saying? Which is normal, pretty much. But they said they shot for 15 hours. And, he praised Uzbekistan and for being nice, having a decorated amateur, program over there. He talked about, respect he had from Madrimov. And he said he appreciated that somebody finally kind of told his story like that. And if you don't know it, if you really haven't been paying attention, y'all, Turkey Al Sheikh, I hear people say Turkey Al Sheikh and Turkey Al Sheikh. I'm gonna say Sheikh. Turkey Al Sheikh is basically changing the optics of boxing. Turkey Al Sheikh is changing slowly but surely the infrastructure of boxing. Turkey Al Sheikh and his people have the funds to absolutely reconstruct a sport that's been a part of a system for so long and make it worthwhile. So for Crawford, the special part about what he's a part of come August 3rd is it would be the inception of Turkey Al Sheikh coming over here to LA on the West Coast to put on a very exciting fight card. His first in basically touching down over here in the US. That's epic. So back to Crawford saying, Crawford said they shot for 15 hours and it was an experience. And a lot of what they put in there, it wasn't used. That's editing though. That's editing. But the finished product came out amazing. It came out amazing. One I did a live stream on Area One before, and him and Dana White, it's well documented that Dana White don't like the guy. And I try to explain why that may be, because Area One gets away with other things that certain journalists don't get away with. I'm not saying he haven't put his stripes, he haven't earned his medals. I'm not saying that. It's just Ariel Hawani has this passive aggressive beta type approach to instigate certain situations to get maximum reaction. Now, if that confused you, imagine how, the people that he's interviewing sees it, right? So let me examine one frame of the interview and show you what I'm talking about. Ariel Hawani has a procedure, a protocol, so to speak, on how he will ask a tough question, but he will form it in a way that it is so freaking innocuous, and you have people believing that, oh, this is, he don't have no ill intent, because he has that little falsetto, soft, harmless voice, but yet he's asking you a tough question. So he asked Crawford, can you answer this? Um, do you think we'll see a Boo Simmons? Is there a fight we'll see in the future? A Boo Simmons? Now, why would you ask when he has a fight coming up August 3rd? Why would you ask about a Boots Ennis without doing your homework, right? Is there a fight that you would like to see? I mean, that you would like to be in with Jerron Boots Ennis, in the future? And then Crawford said, Jerron Boots Ennis, I didn't phrase it verbatim, but Jerron Boots Ennis, um, pretty much, he doesn't bring anything to the table. Like, he's not a ticket seller. Canelo Alvarez is more so orientated to my legacy. He will be much more of a page in my legacy that will stand out for years and years to come. But the fact that Ariel Hawani asked that question based off what social media love throwing around without even doing their homework. I went over this in the live, and people will look at it and skim over it all they want. But you have to ask yourself, who was able to inject Boots Ennis into Ariel Hawani to enable him to lend that question to Crawford? A person who has been asked this question, right? But in reality, the question doesn't have any merit to it outside of the eye test. Because if we're talking about the eye test, then we have to talk about the paperwork that goes along with the eye test. Performance evaluations are often graded via what? Paperwork. Something in the system to give you scores. Whatever that system and that database consists of, that's how it works, right? So with this day and time, we have what's associated and attached to the boxers. We have BoxRec. That is data that's recorded based off their fights, their scheduled fights, the opponent that they're fighting, and the results for that fight. Now, what's also accessible is that we can access BoxRec and those opponents, and we can access their BoxRec and see who their fought. And then we find a name that stands out. We can access that opponent of that particular fighter and see who they fought. So we can continue to either build or reduce the amount of importance or the amount of appraising value of that BoxRec based off the opposition that one fighter has faced. Jerron Ennis has somehow, some way, saturated the conversational piece out here on YouTube and allow people to continue to believe that that is a question that needs to be asked. I don't have no problem with Ennis. I don't dislike him. Like I say, he's a good guy. But logically, all I'm doing is what I've been doing. I did the shit with Errol Spence. I did it with so many other fighters. If you're gonna ask Crawford about a Jaron Ennis fight, and then you want to basically corsage it with a freaking Canelo and Jaron Ennis is disrespectful to even put them in the same sentence. It's disrespectful. For one, Crawford is going for his fourth division, and Canelo only has four divisions. But with that fourth division, he has a what? He has an undisputed at 168. He was the first fighter to do it. Crawford, he has a double. He has double that. He's two-time. So how would you ask Ariel Helwani, ask Terrence Crawford about a Jaron Ennis on your platform on on the eve of one of the biggest fights of his career, just because you've heard it floating around out here? You're doing that just because it sounds good and it's popularized out here in the conversation of those who just trying to make Ennis a bigger name than what he is without the paperwork. When you have Barrios, I said this before. Barrios at this present time has a better namesake resume than Jaron Ennis. He stepped in there with better opposition. Period. That's a fact. But just because the fans haven't been attaching Mario Barrios to a Terrence Crawford, he just want to say Jaron Ennis. The messed up thing about Ariel Helwani doing it on his platform is the fact that Crawford politely shut it down again. He politely shut it down again. Now it's cool for content creators to go out here and put in their titles that Bud Crawford ducked Jaron Ennis. We also had, Timothy Bradley trying to insinuate. You know what I'm saying? We had plenty of other people attempt to insinuate because the name or something to that extent sounds good to link up with Crawford. This guy has shown that his performances don't add up to stepping in the ring with Crawford. Crawford, at this point in time in his career, y'all, he's pretty much right there when you mention big names and pound for pound best of this era of Canelo Alvarez. Period. You just don't say, okay, Crawford is a pound for pound best without him actually, having the accolades to put it together and say this is what he's achieved. Look how many champions he's fought. Look how many times he's been lineal champion. Look how many times he's been undisputed. Look at him with 40 victories, opposite 0 defeats. He's did a lot. Look how long he's campaigned on the pound for pound list in the top 5. But then Ennis, who haven't seen Ennis haven't even seen the psychological hallmark where his brain can fathom that tomorrow he's waking up, he's going to be on the pound for pound list. It wouldn't even allow him, his integrity reservoir is not even enough in there for him to say, okay, I got enough to play with. Just like, what I'm saying, you close to E, but depending on the size engine that you got, you can make it back to the crib without filling up because it's too late. His reservoir won't even allow him to take that serious. It won't. He hasn't came close to being on the pound for pound list. Nor has, just like Blunt's mentioned, he hasn't been in a fight where there's been and new. And that's profound because at the end of the day, you have to be recognized for going in there defeating champions. If you're not going to give Crawford full credit for the champions he beat with the belt and the ones that he beat that formerly previously had a belt, then Jaron Ennis shouldn't have came up on Ariel Hawani's freaking question Q&A without doing more research about other fighters that's in his division that has better resumes than he do. It's other fighters out there with better resumes in his division. Now, to even dumb it down a bit better, if you ask people, do they want to see Jaron Ennis against David Avanesian, or do you want to watch Brian Norman Jr. last fight? They're more than likely they're going to say, well, I want to see Brian Norman Jr. last fight because of how it went down. You know what I'm saying? The whole process from round to round on how both fighters was giving you that tit for tat, mano a mano, knowing that sooner or later one of the fighters is going to have to, finally, take it to the final bell or break. That would be a breaking factor there. With Ennis and Avanesian, it was almost like it was so much, rudimentary mistakes being made that the good part about it was at home so he can get those cheers. But then on the other hand, if you're going to mention him on your platform like that, his performances need to be a lot better, a lot more cleaner than they was. You know what I'm saying? A lot more cleaner. You shouldn't have been, Jaron shouldn't have gotten hit the way he's going to get hit. But also, they say, okay, if you want to bring in Mario Barrios as having a better resume than Ennis, he's been hit too, yes. But we're talking about who he's been hit by. We're talking about who he's been hit by. Who has been in the ring with freaking Mario Barrios. They're talking about him stepping in there with Manny Pacquiao. But let's just keep Manny Pacquiao at the front door and talk about who's already been inside. Who has he graced the stage with already that holds higher value than Ennis? So hearing Terrence Crawford shut it down again, and to see people up here talking about, he's ducking, and also a very important point that he made, right? Because this kind of came out when he was headed to the weigh-ins of him and Spence. He said he had a harder time making weight than Spence. Yeah, you heard me right. Crawford said he had a harder time making weight for 47 than Spence. But yet the narrative was after the fight that Spence was weight drained. But yet the person that was making him look like that he was weight drained, amongst other things, was the pressure and the accuracy and the damage inflicted by Terrence Bud Crawford. You feel me? But he said in that interview that he had a harder time making weight than Errol Spence Jr. for that 147 pound. He also gave clarification and consummation that he will not be fighting 147 anymore. So if Jaron Ennis' name is going to be brought up and you attempt to bow tie it and make it, dress it all up with a Terrence Bud Crawford, you need to understand that Jaron needs to say that I want to fight Crawford at 154, or I want to fight a fighter in that weight class at 154. If Ennis is not willing to stay consistent, thinking Crawford's going to move back down to 47, then why are we continue to play this carnival game, bro? This is carnival media. Get out the parking lot, man. This is circus media. How long you think we're going to go through the same routine we did with Spencer Crawford? The evaluations doesn't add up. You can have popularity, but see, one thing we can say about Errol Spence Jr. is that he went in the backyard of Kell Brook and got that title, bro. We haven't seen a fight with Jaron Ennis answering the opening bell, and if he won, it would say "and new." We haven't had that yet. So since that is still silent, how are we still bringing up his name in the conversation with Crawford, who's basically on the same level as Canelo Alvarez? That's disrespectful. That's clout chasing. That's basically journalism. You're basically fragmenting your journalism because you're selecting to just go off the popular narrative that's out there. It sounds good to continue to retread this man's name out there, but when it comes to the accolades itself, you all are refusing to do the homework and see why would you find it so easily to put Boots in the same conversation as Crawford when you know goddamn well when it came down to Crawford fighting Spence, hosting all the credentials that he had, y'all say he wasn't qualified to face Spence, a person that had already won, you know what I'm saying, two championships. I mean, two divisional championship, two division champion, and also undisputed. Not to mention his first fight at 47 was a championship fight. But yet, when it comes to Ennis, who haven't even been in a fight to be announced as and new, y'all are giving him all the freaking accolades without him actually earning it, bro. And then y'all want to joke around how he was, in here cracking nuts, and it wasn't even Thanksgiving, been headed to December yet. You know what I'm saying? He's cracking nuts over the freaking open canvas. Forget the fire. He does have mad talent, but his paperwork doesn't qualify him to be in the same conversation as a Terrence Bud Crawford or Canelo Alvarez, two of the top fighters when it comes to paperwork and accolades. Tank is making his way up there. He's doing his thing. I'm talking about credentials, paperwork, accolades, history, legacy. Crawford hand has already been casted in the Hall of Fame. You have to be careful there, Ariel Wani, by asking these questions just because you want a reaction, just because it sounds cool, just because everybody's out there kicking the Boots in his can up and down the street. You gotta do your research and due diligence and say, is it worth me? Is it you? Wherever you heard Boots Ennis to begin with, you should have did more research to find out. Is it do I have a legitimate reason to bring his name up in this conversation? Do I? Does it have a purpose? Every single time. Now, let me give you an example to line this up, right? H2O was knocked out. And this was a guy who was pretty much, had buzz saying possibly he was going to fight Floyd Schofield next. The guy who knocked out H2O said if Floyd Schofield, he mentioned his name now, they're in the same weight class. You know what I'm saying? He mentioned his name, and I thought the call out was warranted, and I thought it was on time. It was perfect timing. Because they're on the same level. He's calling him out to fight the guy who was potentially gonna be, gracing the square and be the next on the freaking contractual signing was H2O, but he got stopped. So the guy who stopped him said, "Hey, if Floyd Schofield wanted, we can fight next. Cool." That is something, that makes sense. That is something you can get happy about. The Schofields was happy. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's what's up. Instead of, you got people up there that act like, oh, who is that? I don't know who that is. Why you bringing up that name around me? So even to get back to freaking Ariel Helwani, right? He bring up Jerron in his name, knowing that Crawford has a fight August 3rd. And then he tries to, he usually Terrence Crawford says something to the extent like, we just focus on Madrimov. And like fighters do. Like Errol Spencer saying, oh, we just focused on, you know, freaking Tank Davis, knowing that he wasn't fighting. So he could have talked about another fight. He don't have no fight coming up. But he was like, oh, we just focus on freaking Javante. Well, Crawford, I was assuming that he was just gonna say, well, we're not overlooking Madrimov, and that's who I'm focused on right there. But Ariel Helwani, once again, he lined these questions up, and he will ask something that maybe somebody else would be scolded for. He said, well, I know you said it's one at a time, but don't you think, do you see that fight happening? Who will be responsible for making this happen? Who's responsible for making this fight happen? Man, Crawford was like, all of us will be responsible for making the fight happen. Well, I know you said one more, but when you say, do you think that's something that we'll see in the near future? He has a fight coming up with Madrimov for his fourth division. Something Canelo Alvarez has already done. All right? He continues to drill Crawford with I know you said take it one time, but do you think that fight will be next after the, you know what I'm saying? He continues to just drill him. And I'm not sure why Crawford just didn't say, hey, listen, because you do it too much, Crawford just shut down, really. He'll just give you that look like, what are you doing? Why you keep asking me the same stuff? And I told you, we just taking one fight at a time. And then you're going to ask, well, with Canelo, what do you think? If you wanted the fight to happen, what do you think the fight would be? What do you want the fight to be? What would you think? Tell me. What would you want the fight? Do you think it would be over there in Saudi Arabia or this place and that place? I don't know. I'm saying one place at a time. What's been the attitude? As Turk them, have they treated you right? How do you feel? This is roundabouts. You know what I'm saying? He's giving me roundabouts. Are you feeling good? How's that experience been for you? Are you happy over there? With Turkey? Actually, how long have you known Turkey? Actually, how long have you known him? And he asked these questions, man. That if you become irritated with his line of questioning, he will ask you another question that pretty much sits riding shotgun with the very same question that caused you to swerve all over the road because you're irritated. He will ask you another one to make you even then swerve again. But he'll do it in a freaking voice that he's used. Can I ask you this? Do you mind if I ask you this? Can I ask you this? If Canelo fight was to happen per se, what would you want to see that fight? I don't know, taking one fight at a time. Let's just say this. I know you said one fight, but if that fight was to happen, who would be responsible for making that fight happen? I don't know. I mean, it'd be a lot of people responsible for making that fight happen. Okay. Just say, for instance, is that the fight we're going to see next? Do you think the fight, that's the fight we're going to see next? Do you think that's the fight we're going to see? You and Canelo? Yeah. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. With Boo Simmons, do you think that, after this fight, Boo Simmons is a name that you would like to fight? No, because Boots don't bring this to the table. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing he does for my legacy. Canelo does for my legacy. Speaking of legacy, you know what I'm saying? Y'all get the point. He just keeps drilling and drilling. And just because he has this high pitch, He has this high pitched, low, passive aggressive tone of questioning that he basically draws freaking people to answer the question. And it can be a question that's kind of disrespectful and kind of out of line, but just because you don't hear the rise and inflection in his voice change, people don't get offended. But you really have to pay attention to how his line of questioning is. Is it fair to say, can I ask you this? It's almost like he's begging, but he's not. All he's doing is finessing. He say, do you mind? What if I was to ask you this? Would I? I mean, it's the same shit, man. But Crawford had a very solid interview. I'm going to go a little bit more detail on another day. But, I did a live on Area One of these questioning before, which, you see a lot of these fighters, I mean, they let him get away with things other people who wouldn't get away with asking them questions. Like he got a big fight coming up and ask him about other fights just for views, just to get the content out there. And I just feel like it's a bit unfair because if we was in a media scrum and we was to ask about Canelo when he has Madrimal coming up, I think the reaction would be handled, or the tone of response wouldn't be as nice from these fighters, because they looking at us like, okay, they expect us to know the format, but you're asking me about Canelo when I have Madrimal coming up. Let's just say, for instance, you win Madrimal. Do you think the first person, because you know what the crowd has been saying, do you think we're going to see Boots next? Is Boots going to be next? Because everybody's talking about it. Why? A fighter doesn't want to go into detail. I'm not talking for Crawford, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to detail his level of disagreement with why people have gravitated to continue to mention his name when, like I said, everything he had accomplished leading into the Errol Spence fight, and that is beating Jeff Horn and still on a knockout streak. They was going into the fight saying he ain't fought nobody. He ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? That was the mentality that these individuals had before the catastrophe hit. But yet, Ariel Helwani, he can ask these questions. And it's certain fighters. It's certain fighters will check him. But he does that a lot. You know what I'm saying? He asks these freaking questions that other media, consider, YouTube media or whatever. And they'll look at us like, why are you asking me that, man? Like, come on, bro. I got a fight coming up. Let's focus on that. I can turn around and say, well, you didn't say that with Ariel Helwani. I seen Ariel Helwani ask you that. You talked to him and you broke it down, did this, that, and the other. I'm just saying he gets away with it. Real talk. He gets away with it. But anyway, it was a good interview. You know what I'm saying? And Crawford handled the answering very well. Real talk. He handled it very well, because he up here asking him about Boots Ennis and Canelo Alvarez, which, how close do you have to be to the fight that he's asking about? What do you think that fight to happen? What would you want that fight to happen? Do you think, who would be responsible if that fight happened? I'm like, damn, bro. What are you doing? Why would you ask him about venues? See, he has the team behind him. He has sponsorships and all that. So to me, Ariel feels he can go in there and just ask questions or whatever he feel like. And let's just say you check him. You check down and you come back and be like, man, come on, stop asking me questions like that. I got to fight. That's it. Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. Just asking because, At the end of the day, it's just it came up out here so many times, and people just asking like, "Wow, will we be able to see a Crawford and Canelo?" Yeah, I understand what you're saying. They do talk about it. Yeah, yeah. I apologize though. I mean, you think about it, Canelo and Crawford, that would be one of the biggest fights of this century, huh? He'll just lead right back into it. That would be one of the biggest fights of this century, huh? Mm, I can't imagine, you know, where that fight would be. It's such a big fight. What do you think it'll be? Huh, Crawford? You think it'll be in Vegas, Saudi Arabia? Hmm, that's a good question. That'd be incredible. That'd be incredible. And then just think about it. If that fight was presented to you after the Majima fight, would you take it? Yeah, of course I'll take it. And then that leads into this. Well, oh, you will move up two divisions? Wow. I mean, you've been asking this man for the last 5 minutes about Canelo Alvarez, and but yet you tag it with, I know it's one fight at a time because he said I'm focused on Majima fight, and then you turn around and say, well, if that fight was presented to you, would you take it? Of course I would. You would? You would move two weight divisions up to face him? Wow. Wow, that would be a great fight. I just wonder where it'd be at, though. What do you think it'd be? You know what I'm saying? He just leads and leads and leads into another freaking question after he was told, hey, man, one fight at a time, I'm thinking nothing about my Jamal and this, and this, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, when he asked, how long was the filming for that, The 15 hours. Oh, 15 hours. Did they take care of you over there during that time? Did you like all the filming that took place? Did you appreciate the finished product? I mean, that's what Ariel Helwani, man. Ariel Helwani will line your ass up with some freaking cotton ball ass freaking tone of freaking questioning. You know what I'm saying? Finesse the freaking reaction out of you. And then let's just say you get mad with Ariel. He'll say something like, "Oh, excuse me. Did I say something wrong? Huh? Oh, never mind. I just seen you had an expression on your face. I didn't know if it was something I said or something that was on your mind." And then they'll tell him it's something that he asked. And then Ariel turn around. "Oh, my part. I didn't. The reason why I asked you about Canelo is because I hear so many people talking about it, and they feel that this is one of the biggest fights of this century. But I know you have a championship fight coming up with Majima, so we're just gonna let that be. Yeah, I have to wait till you come back on the show. But wow, I know it's gonna be a good fight with you and Majima. You think Canelo will show up? You think Canelo will show up to the fight? Huh? Do you plan on going to Canelo's next fight? Do you know he's fighting? Oh, okay, 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 okay. All right. You know what I'm saying, people? Like, just be careful, y'all. Just be careful. That's all. Hey, shout out to Christopher White with the $2 super chat, man. Salute to you, brother. It's always appreciated, man. One love to you, man. You know, he said, keep up the great work cooking. No doubt, man. I appreciate you. Big shout out to Christopher White for donating to the channel with the super chat, lighting up the tree of life for WCS. Much appreciated, my brother. D Young in the building. What's good? He said, salute OG, boy, them boot. Looking mad as hell. Yeah, 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 for sure. And that's what I wanted to kind of mention about the all the the titles that's up there about Crawford ducking. Let me help y'all understand briefly. The ducking has, I mean, below minimum value. Ducking, the word ducking doesn't have minimal value. It's below minimum value. It's up to the perception of the goofball who wants to basically give it high appraisal. And that in itself is not going to have no long standing freaking appraising value to it anyway. You know, ducking is used so much that people believe that depending on how many subscribers they got or how many interviews they did, that the word ducking is going to have a higher sense of impact when they're attaching it to a fighter. Now they're saying, you know, Bud Crawford is ducking Ennis. Anybody in their right mind that stood by boxing as long as they have, put in all this work, you know, did all the research, have all the conversations, sidebars, you know what I'm saying? You know, catch them birds and go to a fight. I totally understand that ducking is somewhat like a kid learning how to say mama and daddy for the first time. It has no value at all, none at all, because it's one of the most misused words ever when it comes to the English language and how it's basically saturating boxing narratives. Boots Ennis hasn't even did anything comparable, even close to Terrence Crawford. But yet people say he's ducking. He's ducking. Terrence Crawford, like I said before, he goes in there and beat Ennis. Crawford is not going to get any credit for the win. None. So it's pointless to continue to just use this in your title to say somebody's ducking over and over and over again just because you want to see the fight. It makes no sense at all, but people are going to continue to use it because they feel like it's a legacy defining word. They feel like ducking is absolutely the you know that seal you need on leathers that you get notarized. They feel like when they do a live stream and they want to prove that two boxers ain't facing each other and the one that's responsible, they want to put that seal on there like it's a notary, that notary seal. Let me put that seal on there. That's ducking. Stamp. That's ducking. Stamp. They want to put that seal on there, man. For real. They want to put that notary seal on there and stamp it and say, that's official. If I can have your signature right there. Yep. Let me stamp this right here. And there we go. That's officially ducking. Now, once you do your live stream, all you have to do is put this freaking ducking statement, this ducking statement, this document up there for everybody to see with the proof, the seal of approval. And your ducking has high value than any other ducking. Okay, because you got the seal of approval. That doesn't work like that, man. Ducking is so played out. It's so freaking played out. You can't say a fighter is ducking when you refuse to mention the resume of the fighter that's supposedly allegedly being ducked. If he doesn't, if he or she don't have the credentials on paper, if the data isn't available because it hasn't happened yet, then why y'all continue to act like somebody's dangerous? You know what I'm saying? It becomes a point where you acutely delusional, bro, because you're supposed to be so close to boxing as a diehard aficionado, but yet boots keep on, you know, falling off your lips. And he hasn't even been in a fight yet where there's a champion and he's going in there as the challenger. You know what I'm saying? Has you ever went in there as the challenger? Have you ever fought for a vacant title? That's all I'm saying, y'all. Oh, man. I always said the boots is the future. See, and that's a solid point, Christopher, when you talk about the future. I never said he wasn't the future. My whole point is he's right here in the present, and he has supposedly a manifesto like Spence. Spence had the same declaration. He was going to unify the 147-pound division. Like I put out there previously, it would be good if Boots can envelop a rivalry. Can a rivalry blossom somewhere in the 147-pound division? You know, two names come to mind: Boots Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. They sparred before. They know each other. There's history. But from what I heard, they say they want to go for the grand finale. Okay, that may have worked for Crawford Spence. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just the way it was. It was different networks tied into promotions and all this other stuff. Um, every guard is different. The new guard that's on there, there's no rivalries. Blair the Flares pulled up on Ennis. That fizzled out when he was knocked out by Alexis Rocha. Um, Mario Barrios has been defeated, first time at 140, then moved up, and he has two defeats, I believe, but nobody's talking about him because he's a good guy. You know what I'm saying? So Stanthionis, nobody's really mentioned his name, but he's out there. Virgil Ortiz left. I would have loved to see Virgil Ortiz shake up the freaking 147 because he was all about the smoke with anybody. But he had a health condition, and they say Virgil ducked, but Virgil was about to smoke. His team had to slow him down. Virgil was like, I'll fight anybody. I don't care. Norman Jr. Finally made it up there, had a grand fight. That would be a good rivalry to build up, but I don't think it's going to happen, man, because they want to fight in the finale. And it's no telling, how long both of these fighters are going to be at 147. Boots is pretty big. But for the present, we're still trying to see. We're still trying to wait for that big fight. For the future, hey, for Boots, depending on who's there, where the guard changes is at, he has a bright future, man. 54, 60. I can see Boots, at 168. For real. I can see him at 168, no problem. Because the old guard would have moved out. You know what I'm saying? Canelo is damn near about to retire sometime soon. He's not going to be around. So this new guard is coming up from 135s, the 40s, the 47, the 54. Hey, that includes Jaron Ennis. He should be able to get some really good fights if he, is able to improve his performances and get in there with some big names. Okay. Say I got Norman over Boots. UD. Okay, for sure. I'd like to see that fight for sure. That'd be a good fight. Boots have all the champions too at 147, including Cobb. I would just like to see him get a fight lined up with any of them, man. With any of them. You know? Yeah, I agree with that. Boots can beat him now at 147. He can. But the one thing it's gonna take Boots, the good part about these up and coming fighters is that they're so young. They in their 20s. We have a lot of 20-year-old hitters that's in the sport, man. Real talk. That can definitely shake it up. Seriously, man, we got so many fighters that can give us a good solid 10 years, man. 10 years. The next 10 years and give us some good fights. That's basically dependent if Turkey Al-Sheikh continue to do what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And leaving his footprint in the sand over here. Oh man, there's gonna be incredible freaking changes going on. big time fights being made because the fighters will be able to, be more motivated going in the fight camp. Their checks, it don't seem like Turkey Al-Sheikh is having problems with all these negotiations and the fight falling apart. I want to see how many freaking fights are going to go to purse bid once Turkey Al-Sheikh, gets really settled in and anchored over here and start running. Because as we seen, Golden Boy is in partnership. Top Rank is in partnership. We still trying to see, from what I understand, PBC is going to be in partnership. So, I mean, come on now. We only have two of the premiers, Golden Boy and Top Rank, already in partnership. Come on now. You know Eddie Hearns has already been brushing elbows over there. So TGB is going to have to jump on board or get ran over. They're going to have to jump on board and get ran over. We'll be able to see some of these fights. Crawford, whatever he has on his itinerary. The great part about he has Turk Al-Sheikh as we used to call boosters back in the day. Those organizations that support and sponsor the team. Turkey Al-Sheikh, he has Turkey Al-Sheikh as a booster, a financier at the highest level. We don't know what route Turkey Al-Sheikh gonna take with Crawford. We don't know how many other fights because Ariel Helwani did ask Crawford today also about how many fight deal did he sign with Turkey Al-Sheikh. So he said fight by fight. So he really didn't disclose too much information as if, he's going to let people know that, hey, I signed a 10-fight deal or something like that. He didn't say that. So we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to remain vigilant. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're going to have to, just pay attention to. But a shout out to everybody that pulled up. Big salute to the hottest chat in the MF and game. Until next time, man, y'all hit the like button. Continue to support. I'm out. Peace.